They still held on to their faith and to their guide. There's two things that's needed. And you have to have a guide. You have faith, but you don't have a guide. You start fighting with each other. I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. Everyone claiming then I am a guide to myself. You have a guide. So many people in this world, they have guides. But their guides are tyrants. There's no faith. Straight to Jahannam. I was reading Shaykh Maulana's Sohbat, and he's saying Muslims now, they have allergic reaction when you talk about sheikhs. You teach them, they brainwash them. They have an allergy. It used to be Wahhabis, they are allergic to sheikhs. Now Sunnis are allergic to sheikhs. Of course. Yes? The Sunnis are now going to say, well, we have our Imams, we have the Quran, we have the Hadith. Why we have to follow someone? They're poisonous. People of this world, we are saying, they are everywhere they're losing hope. It's good. But this is losing hope. We have lost our intelligence, we have lost our perspective, we've lost everything. We think that this is disaster. This pandemic is a disaster. Let's say 100 years ago, there was a disaster. Millions were taken away. Kind of like this too. You know when it happened? After the fall of the Khilafat. There's a sickness, especially the young ones, they're taking them away. Morning they get sick, nighttime they die. Swift and sudden. Millions spreading everywhere. Now, of course, there's shaitan ones. In every nation there's shaitan ones. And the shaitan ones in, let's say, in England, they would want to name it. It's a perfect opportunity, they say, for us to brand it something so that it's not coming back to us, so it's not, they call it Spanish flu. So they blame the Spanish people. Spanish people, it's like, okay, what, me? They don't know what the heck is going on. It got named that. Millions were taken away. Before that too, millions taken away. So many times in the history of mankind, if you look at just pandemics, millions have been taken away. This is the age of confusion. So where are you going to get your proper information from? YouTube? Yes, a lot of people look to that. Books. People don't even read these days. They talk amongst themselves a lot, but they don't talk to guides. And when they talk to guides, they say, we are the same. Now you have to prove to me what you are. You can never find a guide. Even if that one is a prophet in front of you with that kind of attitude, you'll never follow him. He will never be good enough for you. You're always going to find something that is wrong with him. There's nothing but ego. Same. Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, they also find fault. So many people, they say, our criterion for a prophet is they have to be rich. You know that? They have to be rich. They say this one is poor. Stuff. He had more riches than you can even imagine. Dunya and Akhirat. This angel came to him and said, if you like, we turn this whole mountain of Uhud into a gold for you. So you lose hope. Hope in what? Hope in what? The believers, when they get sad, it's because their relationship with Allah has been cut off. Their relationship with Allah is damaged. They're worried. How is my relationship here with Allah today? What did I do to make it better? What did I do to make it wrong? to Allah, to the Prophet ﷺ, to the awliya Allah. They're not looking about their relationship so much to each other or to this world. They're looking at that ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, this world, your sons, everything you possess is nothing but a confusion for you. So it is priority, it is not balancing. So many Muslims asking, how do we balance? I say, what? You become, how you say? Taoist? You know, those kind people? You know them? Everything has to be balanced. You know, black is white, white is black. Balance. You know? Everything has to be balanced. Everything is two. Everything is duality. Since then, why are you saying ahad, ahad? If everything you're going to look as, well, it's this and it's that. It depends. It depends on who look at it. It's not depending. It's depending on Allah. Everything has to depend on Him. You see, how you balance dunya and akhirat? You don't balance dunya and akhirat. Then next thing you're going to say, how do I balance truth and falsehood? I have a little bit of truth, a little bit of falsehood, and I can live my life. As a believer, no. Now, when I say these words, so many Muslims jump and say, what? You want us to do what? To live in a mountain? To live in a cave? To give up from the dunya? To do this? We say, idiot. That's why we cannot talk to you. It is not about balance, it's about priority. What is more important is what is in your heart. You can be dressed like a Sufi, but with anger and envy, you are worthless. You can have everything that the things according to, but in your heart, your priority is pleasing Allah and His Prophet, and you're not going around telling me some people they look so religious to say to everyone, this is what we do. That one is blessed. So it is priority. Priority then allows you, when it is time, you're going to remember Allah standing up. When it is time, you're going to remember Allah lying down. When it is time, you're going to remember Allah in the marketplace, where all the shaitans, they gather, no? In the marketplace. Oh, are we saying this? What are you saying? I'm not saying, Prophet ﷺ is saying, but people like to go to bazaars, they like to go to malls, finding so much freedom there. How many going there saying, even if they go to remember Allah? In the old days, even in the bazaars, we went to so many bazaars, you cannot forget Allah. Right in the center of the bazaar, usually they have a prayer place, musalla, complete with mihrab, complete with mimbar sometimes. Sometimes they have a little thing, it looks like a, how you say, minaret. You can go out, they call azan, they are buying and selling 5 times a day. People will stop, go and pray, and they'll come back. Up till today, it's still continuing. So you lose hope in what now? What are you feeling hopeless about? Most people, they lose hope in they want the life before 2021. 21? 20. They want the life of 2019. That was life. Was that life? Life for who? Billions of people, they were suffering. Where were you? So you want that life. You're losing hope for what? For the believer, this is Allah reminding us. This is not a, nobody can say it's a blessing. It's a smack, definitely. But for the believer, even a smack is a blessing. That's why you don't see believers. In 1400 years of history, every disaster that falls to the ummah, they don't go, Ya Rabbi, why this is happening to us? We're not like other nations, complaining to Allah, why you allow this to happen to us? We say, yes, this happened because we deserve it, because we have gone so far away from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. We pull this to ourselves, that even that one, that Mongol who destroyed the Baghdad, is saying, you must have done something really wrong for your Lord to put me here to punish you. Muslims understood that. So we don't learn history. If you don't learn history, how are you going to learn your own history? You don't learn history. How are you going to look at your history, your life before? What happened? What are the lessons to be taken? Your life yesterday, your life today. What is your idea of a hope for your life as a believer tomorrow? What are you living for? What are you living for? If you say, well, I want to live in the pursuit of happiness, provide for my family, my closest ones, and this, then you are no different from unbelievers. No difference. We have to be different. So what is your priority? Priority means, as Shaykh Effendi said so many times, if you put Allah priority, Allah will put you priority. If you put Akhirat priority, Allah will say, open the Akhirat and open the dunya also. If you put priority to be hereafter life, then Shaykh Effendi is like saying, he's saying, it is like you are planting the wheat. And when you plant the wheat, when you harvest it, you get the wheat and you also get the straw. The world is like a straw. The believer has more hope. You ask, the believers are going to say, Alhamdulillah, Allah is not leaving us alone. He's still sending a reminder to us, and it looks like the time is coming closer. You think this is disaster? Wait to see what's going to happen. People start eating each other. And those who are not prepared, those who are not putting that to be priority, those who are not running to be under the domes of Allah, under the protection, Christian, Muslim or Jewish, doesn't matter, believer or unbeliever, you're not prepared, you're going to be falling into the same category, same challenges. You are preparing, and you say, this is as much as I can do. It's okay, because you're preparing. You're taking one step. Allah is saying, those who take one step to me, I will take 10 steps to Him. So, there's still the good times. Believe it or not. Still the good times. And how are people behaving in these good times? No gratitude. No gratitude. Only knowing how to complain. Their voice becomes very loud when there is pain, but when there is pleasure, they close their mouth. They don't say anything. I'm saying, oh, you're crying because you don't have. At least cry as much when you have. I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone coming to me, please, I have to speak to you, very important. Why? Because Allah gave me. He's being so merciful to me. Please, pray for me that I can thank Him properly. So there is not much faith there. Because if you reach to that station where you are sincerely thanking Allah, Allah will send you with solutions, and there is a test for you. Not no solution, 10 solutions. And according to the station, He's going to give you as many solutions as you want, and that is also, like I said, a test, because you have to choose the best one. Not just for yourself now. You say, whatever you choose now, you're going to know it's going to affect here, 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 everywhere. So what are you going to do? Yeah, more you say you know, more they will make you to be stupid. More you say, I don't know. Why is this happening? I don't know. Where is it? Well, I don't know. They give you more wisdom. Wisdom, not knowledge. Wisdom. So, for those ones, first they have to know, what are they living for? What is hope? If hope is just to have a comfortable life, what are we, animals? What is hope? For a believer, what is hope? Hope is to know, to believe, as Allah and His Prophet they have promised, Haqq will rule this world. That is our hope. No matter how difficult, how dark, how hopeless it may seem in the way that it is so tight, it is so darkness, as Shaykh Maulana is saying. He said, Allah never breaks His promises. There is still that hope. He doesn't. Prophet never breaks his promises. You don't see anything. They say, don't trust it. No, they never broke and they will not break. Doesn't matter now. I don't know. But what about this? What about this? I don't know. All I know is Allah doesn't break. That's enough for me. Shaitan is the too clever one. He's going to come saying this. What about this? What about this? What about this? You start to listen, he's going to make you to be a big idiot. You're only listening, chasing after your own tail inside your own mind. Nothing is happening. You're running, you think you're going somewhere, you're going nowhere. Before you know it, you start losing. Everything you've gained, everything you've collected, you start losing, because now you start interfering to the things you should not be interfering. You have to be very careful. How you become careful? You become careful because you feel the pain. Then you're careful. You never felt the pain, or you get away easy. Say, I'll do it again. I'll do it again. I'll do it again. If you're walking on this floor, somebody break a bottle and put all the glass there. Say, I don't care, and walk. Go ahead, walk. You'll cut yourself. You cannot say, I don't care. There is repercussions there. You say, come. Break a bottle, we put it on the floor, walk again. Oh, no. They get so nervous now because they know, they remember. They remember. It is not putting in your head, remember. It enters into everywhere. It enters into your heart, you remember. Now that time, forget about glass. If they look at one bottle like that, they get very nervous. So now it's going to inform them already. Now this fear, so many people say, oh, you cannot have fear. Fear is a mind killer. No, fear is very good. Fear of Allah is the first step to wisdom. If you don't fear, then that's the time you will have no shame. Then you'll do and you'll think whatever you want. And nothing is going to satisfy you. When you have that fear, you have that shame, it's enough. You say, no, I don't know. It's not for me. We have to have hope, but you have to know what is this hope for. If you want this world to get better, this world will never get better. This world gets worse and worse and worse. It does. Do we need a pandemic to tell us it's going to get worse? No. These idiot Muslims today, they even say, well, Nostra Mumus is saying this, Nostra Bubus is saying that. We say, you finish all the words of your Allah and your Prophet, you finish all the words of your saints and your Sahabis, you finish that and you're going to a kafir? That takes so many things from Islam and Tasawwuf anyway. You idiot. Why you become so proud to think that you know? You're following someone? Or you're following your own mind? Or you're following your own imagination? People get so excited. So the Muslims get so excited. They get so excited. They're saying they're Maya. They're saying calendar world is going to end. 2021. As far as we Muslims are concerned, the world has already ended. We're idiot. We don't need some people stuff from a jungle. There are good ones, yes, but there's so many evil ones there too. To tell us, we have our own book, no? Why are you going? If there is something there, it's not for you to take. It's for those ones who have the authority and the knowledge to take. They're not taking and they're forbidding that. Turn away, or else you're going to get very, very confused with so many things. They're saying it's going to be 21, 21, 12, 22, 1, 1, 1, 2, 20. They say because their calendar finished. Maybe they ran out of paper. Of course, they were writing on stone something. Later people say this one is ignorant. It's okay. Call me anything you want. Maybe they got tired. Maybe that one writing says, I'm going to go fishing. Like this is after Christmas, after New Year. All the churches here, they're closed. They take holiday. Years ago, I passed by, and they have, how you say, billboard outside, no? Jesus loves you. I say, very good. I love him too. Repent. I say, oh, it's good, reminding. Masjids, they're not putting that up. They say, repent. Why are you looking at me like that? Because I'm looking at it. Why are you looking at that for? Huh? Look properly, bruh. It's okay, take lesson. And I got surprised. This one say, gone fishing. So it's empty. What a good life that we can say that. We don't say it. So, what do you hope? What is your hope? Our hope is to return to Allah clean. Our hope is that we will be able to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clean. Our hope is that we'll have the shafaat of our Prophet alayhi wasalam and the shafaat of the holy ones in our Shaykh. That is our hope. That is my hope. I'm not hoping, I'm not depending on whatever I've done. I'm hoping for their intercession. To this world, how it's going to turn. Doesn't matter. This world, there's a king to this. You're not the king. Don't worry about it. There's a king. Let him take care of it. Then that time when you're busy like that, you look to see what is your job now. What is your responsibility? What is your responsibility? Children, take care of them. Raise them. You don't know how to raise them. You don't know how to scream and shout at them because you had a bad day. Allah, Allah. Who says this? Our grandmother say this? Our grandfather say this? We're saying it because we can say it. So you don't know how to raise children. According to who now? Your believers, raise them according to Allah and His Prophet, and the friends of Allah, at least according to your Shaykh, as much as you can. Hold on tightly. Or to work, or this, or this. The people that are around you, to try to take care of them, to talk to them, to know what is in their heart, to provide for them, at least to forgive them if they do something to you. Do we know what our job is? And if the angel of death comes to take your life before you finish your job, that's another big, big punishment that is going to come to you. So hope. The believer always has hope. The unbeliever, it's like they live in a big, beautiful bubble. Anytime a little bit, it can burst. They know. I think it must be pretty terrible if you don't believe in anything and there's nothing to look forward to. It's not like you're a butterfly. First you're ugly slug and then you become beautiful butterfly and you die. No. We come out weak and then we become strong, we become weak again and then we die. You don't believe in anything. You say there's nothing out there. You should go kill yourself. That's why people are not, they become suicidal like that. Because there is no reason for living. If just to enjoy yourself, so many problems with that. Let's say even if you enjoy yourself without harming other people, taking away rights of other people, which is impossible to do. Let's say you do that. But you know that even your enjoyment is going to decrease. You know when you get older, all your taste is going to decrease. You don't have to get old, Chef Andy's saying so many times. You eat one baklava, it tastes very nice. You eat two baklava, it's not that great. You eat three baklava, you said this is enough. You eat four, you start throwing up. At least for normal people. I know some people, they can eat 100 baklavas. But normal people, you start throwing up. Forget about being old or whatever. That is the nature of this world. The more you have, the less taste you will have of it. As the Prophet ﷺ himself said, Allah has taken away the taste from the rich people and put into the mouths of the poor people. Always be poor. Always be fakir. Always be the ones that I don't have, I'm in need. Always be the ones who give. Then you'll have taste. And when you have that taste, you'll be satisfied. Little things, you'll be satisfied. And big problems you have is not going to shake you so much. It's not going to be the opposite. You have so many things, you're not satisfied. Little problems you have, you start crying. You start tasting. And you start giving shukr. So what hope for this world? No hope. This world is going to get worse and worse. Until Sahibu Zaman comes and declares himself. This is still the good times. We have not entered into a war yet that all the world is preparing to enter. We haven't even entered that yet. Right now it looks as if the whole world doesn't want to fight because everyone's busy making money. When there is no reason, no other way to make money through peace, that time they're going to have war. Yes? But nobody wants that now. Don't forget, Mahdi alayhi salam is not going to appear until everybody stops talking about him. It's not when everyone's talking about him, it's when everyone stops talking about him. So our hope is in our Lord. Our hope is in our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. This world is just yesterday that has passed, today that is passing, tomorrow, and who knows if we're going to enter into it. Our life is between two breaths. If Allah does not give permission, we cannot breathe in. If He doesn't give permission, we cannot breathe out. For a believer is the one who remembers his death, not just him dying. So how about this one dying? How about this one dying? How about the death of my attachments? How about the death of my money or my children? He's going to think and say, this is a reality. He's not going to run away from it. He's not going to be so scared. This is a reality. It's going to happen to you whether you like it or not. It's happening to millions of people right now. That he's going to look and he's going to say, Ya Rabbi, help me to understand, help me to pass through this test if this is given to me. Because better ones than us, through 1,400 years they've been tested. Very, very heavy. And we are saying we're following the path, the way of the prophets, and we're not even going to think about it? Yeah. And that time when you think about it, that time maybe you're going to understand things more, understand people more, appreciate people more, at least appreciate your children a bit more, whatever that you have more, because you know this can be taken away from you. No, we don't have too much hope from this world. It's not going to get better. Things are going to get worse. We are bracing ourselves for that, preparing ourselves for that. We are stockpiling our light, our nur, our sawab. Not provisions or this or this. The light. Cleanliness, guidance, sohbats. so that when the time comes, we'll know what to do. Physically preparing, you cannot do too much. You cannot do too much. Because the kafirs have prepared way better than you. But they have not prepared here. We are believers, we prepare here. And at that time is easy because we're taking steps to Allah. He will open the way. He's still in charge, you know. It's not just our intelligence thinking we can figure things out, or this kafir is doing something, or this shaitan is doing something. No. This is your test now, and it's your belief. Astaghfirullah al-azim wa atubu ilayh. Ya Allah, protect us, inshallah. May Allah protect our faith. Make it to increase. Make us to have certainty. Make us to live clean and to die clean, inshallah. Asking Allah to forgive all our weaknesses. For the sake of our Shaykh, for our grand Shaykh, for our Holy Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, inshallah. Al-Fatiha. Amin. Assalamu alaikum.